In the history of biography, we will be talking about the world maps, which are the biogeographical regions of plant and animals which were devised by the different scientists in the past. Thanks to the Darwin and Wallace, the evolution it consolidated as the plausible theory in the history of the paleontology as well as the biogeography. The evolution of the living world reactions, that is the changes in the physical world. So what is evolution? It is the living world's reaction uh, to the changes in the physical world. So the physical world is pertaining to the paleontology or the world that we are living in. So we have seen that there are different theories about what are the changes in the physical world. It can be the geological changes, it can be the climatological changes. So all of those changes, they result into some reactions in the living organisms, and that reaction is evolution. So the underlying mechanism for the evolution, it was yet to be confirmed or yet to be identified, and that was the genetics at that time. And the mechanisms of geological process responsible for those changes, it was not identified yet, but later, after 100 years, it was identified. For example, the plate tectonics, in which the how continents are moving away from each other. There was a scientist named as Adolf Engler in 1879. He described the differences between the floras and faunas of separate continents resulted from their having had separate evolutionary histories. So he devised a map in which he has shown the different organism having the floras and faunas having different evolutionary histories, and was that scientist was first to make a world map, right? So the Engler was the first scientist to do that, and he divided the earth into four major floral region or realms. So floral means that are related to the plants. So he said that there are four regions which are having distinct type of plants in them. So here you can see the world's botanic realm according to the Engler. A, B, C, and D. In the A, you can see the most of Asia, the northern part of the Asia and North America. In the B, you can see Africa and India, and in the C, you can see the South America. And in the D, you can see the Australia, South, some part of the South Africa, and ultimately the southern part of the South America. So A is the northern extratropical realm, and B is the paleotropical realm, and C is the southern American realm, and D is the old ocean realm. So the system of plant regions that was devised by the Engler, it is accepted today, and it is very much similar to the system that we have today. So no systematic comparison and contrast of the composition of floras of these different realms has yet devised. There are no scientists that had worked on the systematic comparison and contrast of these four realms. So you can see the floral kingdom according to the Good and Taktahan, the Halo Hola Arctic. There is whole Arctic in the Asian region, and then there is the Paleotropical, Australian, Cape, Neotropical, and the Antarctic region. So these are the floral kingdoms that are according to the Wood and Taktahan. These are very much related to the earlier that was seen in the past. So these are the modern one, these which we see today, or these are established map that we see today. In the old ocean realm, what is the old ocean realm? Old ocean realm is the southern realm, the southernmost realm, which is along with the Antarctica and southern parts of the Africa and the South America as well. So how did that take place? The Joseph Hooker was a scientist whose reading the Engler was doing, and he, after reading those, he came to the conclusion that flora of the continents and islands of southern hemisphere are the old ocean realm, and he suggested that these might be explained partly the dispersal of the floating seeds. So all of those, Antarctica, the southern America, and southern Africa, all of those are very separate from each other. So how did the different plants which are present on them are related to each other? He said that there were some seeds which were dispersed by the floating on the water. So that was his explanation for the old ocean realm, which was geographically situated apart but having the same plants on them. So then comes the zoogeography. We have been talking about the plant or phytogeography. Zoogeography was developing from early 19th century onward with a different emphasis. It was emphasizing on the birds and mammals which are exothermic or the warm-blooded animals, and they do not show a close correlation to the local ecology, right? So when an organism is warm blooded, it can live anywhere, right? Most of the habitats on the earth they can reside on, right? They can move, migrate from one place to another, and they are not correlated with the local ecology. So early zoo geographer Pritchard in 1826 and Swainson in 1835 divided the earth into 6 regions according to the zoogeography. And this was first formalized in 1858 by the British ornithologist Philip Sclater. So, ornithologist is a scientist who studies the bird, and he believed that all the species have been created within the area in which they are found today. So, it was his thinking that if we are finding one species at one particular area, that species has been originated there, which is of course not true. There are a lot of species which were originated at one place and found in other places. So but this was his idea, and he devised a map as well and formalized the earlier zoogeographical mapping. And then came the Alfred Wallace. Alfred Wallace made his living by collecting bird skins, butterflies, and beetles in the East Indies and selling them to naturalists. So he had a lot of collection in the Amazon. He was collecting all those animals, and by collecting and studying those animals, he got to know about the evolution, as did the Darwin. So his travel and collection led him to be interested in the patterns of distribution, just like Darwin. He immediately accepted Sclater's scheme, including his names for the regions, and expanded it to the include the distribution of mammals and invertebrates. And he identified and commented on many aspects of biogeography. So he and other scientists, they were working really hard in the zoogeography, and the Wallace is one of the big name in the zoogeography. And here you can see the zoogeographical region according to Sclater and Wallace. You can see the neotropical, neo-arctic, African, Oriental, Australian, and Paleo-Arctic regions, the 6 realm that he devised.